Did you know that Socrates wasn't a fan of democracy? In fact, he kind of despised it. Imagine a world far different from ours, where great thinkers roamed the streets of ancient Athens. Among them was a man named Socrates, whose philosophy challenged the very foundations of governance and democracy. Welcome to the world of Socrates and the quest for better governance. Socrates was no ordinary man. Born in Athens around 469 BC, he would become one of the most influential and well-known philosophers in history today. Unfortunately, there are no existing records of his birth, so the exact date remains uncertain. His birthplace is traditionally believed to have been in the city of Athens, Greece, which was a center of culture, philosophy, and democracy during that era. Socrates was not a typical philosopher who expounded his beliefs in lengthy treatises. Instead, he engaged in dialogues with fellow Athenians, often questioning their assumptions and encouraging them to think critically. This method, known as the Socratic method, became his hallmark. It aimed to elicit wisdom through self-examination and critical thinking. Socrates' life and teachings, while not extensively documented during his time, have had a profound and lasting impact on Western philosophy. He is considered one of the founders of Western philosophy and is known for his method of questioning and his contribution to ethics and moral philosophy. Although the exact details of his early life, family, and upbringing are not well documented, Socrates' philosophical legacy has endured for centuries through the writings of his students, particularly Plato and Xenophon, who recorded his dialogues and thoughts. Socrates' influence extended far beyond his immediate circle of students and fellow Athenians. His enduring legacy serves as a reminder that philosophy is not confined to ivory towers, but can have a profound impact on society. He relentlessly sought after truth and wisdom, which led him to question everything from humankind to governance, including the political systems of his time. In 500 BC, Athens was the hub and cradle of democracy. It was a city well known for its vibrant intellectual life, but Socrates had his reservations about the political system. He strongly believed that democracy had its flaws. The city-state had a direct democracy, where citizens directly participated in decision-making. However, Socrates, despite living in a democracy, held deep reservations about it. Socrates believed that democracy could devolve into mob rule, where the loudest voices prevailed over reason and wisdom. He was bothered and concerned that individuals, driven by self-interest, could very well manipulate the masses, causing extremely important decisions to be made in their favor. Socrates believed that the very essence of democracy allowed for the manipulation of the masses by charismatic individuals. This could lead to decisions driven more by public opinion than reason. Socrates was particularly concerned about the rise of demagogues, individuals who use their charisma and rhetoric to sway public opinion. He publicly spoke out about the fact that democracy could become a breeding ground for demagogues who sway the people with their eloquence and promises, often leading to decisions that are not in the best interest of the state. These demagogues could, in Socrates' view, exploit the democratic system to advance their personal interests, often at the expense of the greater good. In essence, Socrates' ideas on democracy serve as a reminder of the delicate balance that exists in a democratic society between individual liberty and social responsibility. His words invite us to consider the difficulties that democracy faces in sustaining the predominance of reason and the common good amid a cacophony of conflicting voices and interests. Demagogues can lead the state astray, pandering to emotions rather than reason. The conflict of ideas and views is necessary for the survival of a democratic society. Socrates' willingness to express dissident viewpoints and challenge accepted conventions exemplified the democratic virtues of free speech and open dialogue. His criticism however heated, eventually contributed to the continuous evolution of democratic values and the understanding of the necessity to protect against demagoguery. Socrates' critique of demagoguery and its influence on democracy raised eyebrows among his contemporaries, especially those who profited from the democratic system. Socrates' ideas didn't sit well with everyone. His critiques of Athenian democracy made him enemies, and his unrelenting questioning of authority didn't endear him to the powerful elite of Athens. Socrates, however, remained unfazed by this, as he continuously challenged the system he believed to be immensely flawed. It is not the duty of the philosopher to question, to seek truth, and to challenge what isn't right. The crux of his philosophical aim is encapsulated in this rhetorical inquiry. To him, philosophy was an active interaction with the world, motivated by an unrelenting dedication to discovering the essence of truth and justice. Socrates' boldness and unwavering commitment to his philosophy led to his trial on charges of corrupting the youth and impiety. He chose death over renouncing his beliefs. Socrates was put on trial in Athens in 399 BC on charges of impiety, which is disrespecting the gods of the city, and corrupting the youth of Athens with his unconventional teachings and philosophical inquiries. He was brought to trial in the Athenian legal system, which was a form of direct democracy.
Ateniesi, non sono indignato per questo risultato.
During his trial, Socrates defended his beliefs and refused to renounce his philosophical principles. Despite offering a reasoned argument in his defense, he was found guilty by a narrow margin of 200 to 220 votes. In Athenian legal practice, convicted individuals often had the opportunity to propose an alternative punishment. However, Socrates, in his characteristic commitment to his principles, suggested that he should be rewarded for his contributions to Athens rather than punished. He even jokingly suggested that he should be provided free meals for life in recognition of his philosophical work. His proposal was rejected. Socrates was subsequently sentenced to death, and the method of execution chosen was drinking a solution made from poison hemlock, a plant known for its lethal properties. The poison, when ingested, affects the nervous system and leads to paralysis, respiratory failure, and ultimately, death. Socrates' death is famously depicted in Plato's dialogue, Phaedo, where he is shown calmly accepting his fate. He spent his final hours engaging in philosophical discussions with his friends and students. He drank the poison without resistance, maintaining his composure and philosophical demeanor until the very end. It was as though he wanted to demonstrate the enduring force of philosophy and its ability to raise the human spirit, even in the face of mortality, through his own life. Socrates' friends and followers, including Plato, were deeply affected by his death. To them, the killing of Socrates signified the end of an era, but it also served as proof of the enduring impact of his philosophical ideals. Socrates believed in a different form of governance, one where intellectual philosopher kings ruled with wisdom and virtue. He thought this was better than and superior to democracy, as it would prioritize the pursuit of truth and the common good over the personal interests of the rich and powerful. This concept was a sharp contrast to the turbulent and frequently unpredictable nature of Athenian democracy. He discussed this with Plato, and both were in agreement over this certain belief. While Socrates' goal was not achieved during his lifetime, it left an indelible mark on the field of political philosophy. It challenged prevalent governance assumptions and spurred generations of thinkers to consider alternative forms of leadership that prioritized knowledge, virtue, and the general good over the fleeting interests of the privileged few. Looking back on Socrates' life and his critique of democracy, we can clearly see a man who dared to question the prevailing norms of his time. He believed that governance should prioritize wisdom and virtue over popularity and eloquence. Despite his death, Socrates' legacy endured. His pupil and friend Plato continued his philosophical tradition and explored the ideal state in his work, The Republic. In The Republic, he continued Socrates' quest for an ideal polity. Plato delves into the complexities of governance, delving into the concept of philosopher kings and a just society. In many ways, this work can be seen as a continuation of Socrates' quest for a more enlightened form of administration. And so, Socrates' quest for better governance continues to inspire us today, reminding us that the pursuit of wisdom and truth should always be at the heart of any political system. His bold dedication to challenging the current status quo and pushing for a government based on knowledge and truth continues to resonate with people who consider the underlying foundations of any political system. His legacy serves as a poignant reminder that the ideals of justice, virtue, and intellectual integrity are not mere historical relics, but timeless principles that should guide our efforts to create a just and enlightened society. In this sense, Socrates' quest for better governance remains as relevant and essential today as it was in ancient Athens. Democracy is sought after in today's world and often fought over through hot and cold wars. Given today's heated political climate and rise in populism, what do you think Socrates would have said about our democracies? Would his opinion have changed? Thanks for watching our video. If you find this YouTube video interesting and you want to see more, please leave us a like and subscribe for more videos like this one. Kindly click on the bell icon below to be notified whenever we upload a new video. Until next time, friends.